Welcome back, Honors. So it's been an interesting weekend. Somehow I managed to lose the recording that I made originally in school, and then I didn't realize that until later. So now I'm going to just remake it and go ahead and knock this thing out. We're going to try and keep it a little bit on the shorter side. That way you can kind of enjoy your weekend, and then we will kick this stuff back up this week. Now, where we left off in class, we were talking about how early on in the trade market, Arab and Italian traders controlled most of the market over the land. Spices were the new big product, coming particularly from places like India. Also, the Moluccas Islands, known as the Spice Islands, which we will talk about later on. They had a lot of major uses, and that product is going to be kind of like the iPod for Macintosh and be the thing that makes the economy in Europe skyrocket, right? So we talked about earlier how Portugal jumped in on the trade market, right? And Vasco da Gama, the most extra guy on the planet, who decides to send hands and feet in the mail to a local governor in India, is going to come back and sail his spice load for 70 times the amount that he actually originally took it for. And also he got to keep more of his money because most of his crew members got scurvy. Now, another close next door neighbor to Portugal also wants to get in on this trade market. Now, I hope you haven't been just writing all this stuff blindly, because I got to set the stage for you really quick about Spain. Now, up until this point, Spain was an avid part of the Reformation, avid part of the Renaissance, had a lot of very, very intense Renaissance art movements, making a lot of money through their royal families. Still very, very feudal based, a lot of lords and the manorial system. But the main thing that Spain kind of demonstrated of real value was an event that they had called the Spanish Inquisition, right? Sponsored by this lady right here, started by her and her husband. This is Isabella and Ferdinand of Spain. They started this thing called the Spanish Inquisition. Now, the Spanish Inquisition was meant to purge all non-Catholics out of their country altogether. So, the main thing that you need to write down is Spanish Inquisition, started by Isabel and Ferdinand. A lot of Catholic fervor, and then also led to Spanish exploration. Being a major part of Spanish exploration was converting souls for Christianity and towards the Catholic faith. So keep that in mind going forward. Now, anyway, but the other big thing is they realized that Vasco da Gama brought all that boatload back and made more money than the Portuguese government that did in that single year. So they decide, we're going to go ahead and finance this Italian sailor, Christopher, biggest tool bag in all of history, Columbus, to find a new route to India to be less treacherous and less costly than going all the way around Africa, past the Cape of Good Hope, and then going up into India. Now, ironically enough, if they were smart, they would have cut through the Mediterranean, dug a canal next to Africa where Egypt and current-day Israel meet, and created a canal right there, which the British later did. It was called the Suez Canal. But they didn't know that. And it turns out that this nutbag Italian was running around to all these different governments, begging them for money and boats and vessels to find a route to faster water route. Because recently, it had been rediscovered that a lot of people at the time were realizing that, look, the Earth's actually not flat, it's round. I'm going to sail west, and I'm going to pop up on the other side, right next to Japan and China. So, this is the theory he came up with, and Isabella and Ferdinand decided this is a great time for them to invest their money. Let's see what this guy's got. And they also give him 3 vessels, the Nina, the Pinto, the Santa Maria, the blah, 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 blah. Now, the more crucial part about all this stuff that they don't tell you in 5th grade is that this year is the more important part, okay? In 1492, Europe is going to realize that there are 2 other continents out there, right? And in 1492, after 3 months and getting lost twice, Columbus landed in the Caribbean islands, particularly what we believe to be the Bahamas. A couple facts real quick. Columbus did not ever go to North America. He only stayed in, well, if you count the Caribbean as North America, which most geographers would, he never actually went to continental North America. He stayed in the Caribbean islands. He landed in August of 1492. When he landed, he thought he was in Japan the entire time, and he didn't really know what was going on when a bunch of natives actually came up and began to interrogate him as if he were a god, because he just didn't really know what else to do, considering the fact they also were bringing gifts, and they were bringing it was a peace escort. So anyway, he would then call this whole area the West Indies, because again, he thought he was in India for most of the time, and then he also began to call the people Indians. Now, this more important part of this entire thing is the red flag that's going to appear in this picture. And what do you think that is? Good job, Jenny Vu. Right there, right? That cross being erected immediately shows that one of the main objectives of the Spanish is actually spreading the faith of Christianity. Now, a couple other things really quick. He did end up losing one of these boats because one of them caught fire in the harbor when he was bringing some trade goods back to it. Now, moving forward, though, this was a massive thing that happened. It was the thing called the Line of Demarcation, also known as the Treaty of Tortola. Now, this split the world in half. Now, why would you need to do that? Because Portugal and Spain are both Catholic countries. And the Pope is realizing, with all this Reformation business going on, and with us losing parishioners, thank you guys, I appreciate that, that they're going to start losing tithes, and the church is going to actually end up losing money. However, whatever is good for Portugal and Spain's economy is good for the economy of the Catholic Church, because that's going to increase the tithes coming in, right? So, the Pope at the time split the world in half, and he said, Portugal, you get the right side, which is Asia and the old world, and then Spain, you get the left side, which is the new world, right? Now, fun fact about the Treaty of Tortola and the Line of Demarcation, it was actually misdrawn, and it was by Pope Alexander VI, right? So, he actually originally drew it, originally drew it right here, having no idea that when he did that, he actually cut the tip of Brazil off, giving that to Portugal. Hence, why all the people in Brazil speak what? Good job. Portuguese, right? So, now a lot of you are saying to yourself, well, wait, why didn't they not continue their expansion to the left? Well, a lot of it has to do with the line does stop in the middle of Brazil, but also they didn't continue their expansion westward due to this gigantic rainforest and huge river that exists out there. Now, because the Amazon River actually goes around the perimeter of Brazil. Now, continuing forward, though, another major person that showed up was Amerigo Vespucci. He actually mapped most of the land in the new continents, and the new continents are going to be named the Americas after him. And then, this is whatever. And then also, very first person, Portuguese man, to actually circumnavigate the globe, which means to sail all the way around, was Ferdinand Magellan. Now, funny enough, he actually didn't sail all the way around. One of his crew members, possibly a slave, is the one who actually brought it all the way around, because he actually died in the Philippines when he tried to convert the Filipinos to Christianity, and they ended up losing a little bit off the top right here. Anyway, so last couple things is that Portugal is going to take control of Africa initially, and they're going to be going after goods like ivory, gold, and slaves. Now, this is simply the foundation that we will be diving further into in class when we talk about now the overseas market, mercantilism, the Columbian exchange, inflation, colonial interests, the Mesoamericans that they're going to encounter. Oh, all this cool stuff, right? So, we're going to go ahead and stop here. Like I said, just the foundation base. This is all the simple stuff you learned in 5th grade. We're just kind of reviewing it a little bit. And we're going to go super deep into it on Monday when we talk about the East India Company, the Dutch East India Company, pirates, all kinds of cool stuff, right? So, I'll see you guys then. Have a good evening. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see y'all there.